Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we have a really special video. This is my very first review of a Rough Ryder knife. And I think this is also my first review of a traditional slip joint in general. Yeah, maybe so. Anyways, I'm excited. This is the Rough Ryder Black Bone and Copper Trapper. Pretty cool knife. Let's go ahead and get right into the review. I was gonna, I've played around with the idea of handling this review different than my other reviews, but you know what? A knife is a knife. I don't care if it's locking or not. I don't care if it's modern or traditional. So this is going to get a review exactly like every other knife on my channel. So blade length measurement going all the way to the bolster. There you go. We're coming in at, maybe we can call it 3 1/4 inches on the clip point. I guess I have to measure both blades. On the, about the exact same on the spade blade. So cool. We'll just keep the spade blade out for our size comparisons now, which we will jump into. Let's start off with the Rat 1 and the Rat 2. So yeah, a little bit longer than the Rat 2. Definitely enough cutting edge for your daily needs. In fact, you know what? Maybe that's something we should measure, because I was measuring the blade, counting this little area here. Let's just measure the cutting edge real quick. Cutting edge is a little bit under 3 inches. So yeah, about 2.75. Cool. Next, let's bring out our Civivis. There's the Praxis. The Elementum. Pretty similar in size to the Elementum, at least in length. Okay. Next, let's bring out the PM2. And you guys know what's next. It's the Bug Out, which, where is he? Why do I always lose the Bug Out? Seriously, I lose the Bug Out more than any other knife I own. Holy crap. Yes, I carry it sometimes, but not that much. Gee, oh, there it is. Gosh. There's the Bug Out. Okay. And to close off our size comparisons, let's compare against some other traditional knives. First up, here is a Case yellow synthetic trapper. And what else do we want to compare this to? Well, yeah, here we go. And here is a Rough Ryder small VG10 trapper. There we go. So yeah, pretty good sizes there. What are we looking at for materials? Well, the blade is Rough Ryder's 440. I think it's a 440A. So nothing super exciting. It says right there. Focus. .440 razor sharp steel. Oh, I'm holding it upside down. Sorry, guys. There we go. 440 razor sharp steel. So nothing exciting at all. Handles are black bone, which is just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And then we have these copper bolsters, and I think these are called end caps. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not all up to snuff on my slip joint terminology. Obviously, this is a slip joint, double blades. This little shield, I believe, is copper as well. You can see we're starting to take a little bit of a patina as I've been carrying and using this knife. So yeah, cool. Let's go ahead and move over to the cutting footage. See how I avoided using the cut over to the cutting footage pun that I always use? You're welcome. Anyways, let's go do that. Alrighty, the Rough Ryder Black Bone and Copper Trapper. How are the ergos? Just about like any other trapper you've ever felt. Your hand can wrap around it. I don't think traditional knives are super ergonomic. They're not super comfortable, but they're not uncomfortable either. So, you know what? It is what it is. How's the action? It's really good. The pull on these blades, both of them, whoops, having trouble with that one since I don't have a thumbnail on that thumb anymore. Good pulls. They lock, or not lock out, but they hold out pretty well. And then they have half stops. Good snap. Really, really nice. Huh. I pinched myself on the other blade. Something that I like about the spade blade is I can grab it like this. I don't have to rely on my nail. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. How's it carry? Well, you can just drop it in your pocket. This is a little bit heavy because of the copper, but I carry it in a slip. This particular one is from Tuya Knife. Goes in, then just kind of clips in your pocket. I mean, however you want to carry this knife, you do you. Let's go ahead and do some cutting and slicing and stuff. So, like most traditional knives, very, very thin blade stock. Just grab this. We'll test out both blades. Nice and slicey on the spade blade. Nice and slicey on the clip point blade. What were you expecting, right? Okay, let's grab our rope. A little bit windy right now. Okay, not bad. Let's do a pull through with the other blade. Not bad. Let's go down. Let's do just a push. Actually, not terrible. Not terrible on a push. Remember, we're just pushing down on the cord and seeing if the blade is going to cut it. Okay. So didn't do as good as a spade blade, but did all right. Just get the pull noodle out here. We'll do. All right, nice and slicey with a clip point, as I was kind of expecting. Nice and slicey with the spade. And you know what? I have to do this. We're going to cut with both of them. Ready? We almost got two. Okay, well, let's go back to the table and finish up. Alright, so let's get into what I like and don't like about the Rough Ryder smooth bone and copper trapper here. So first thing, I love the way this looks. This is just a gorgeous knife. I mean, that bone is so smooth and shiny. The copper looks good, especially now that it's taking a patina, getting that good aged look. I'm glad they went with the blackened blades. Love the little milling in the copper. Backspacer looks good. Or not backspacer, but the back springs look good. We have the little copper liners. It's a good looking knife. Plus, I just love trappers. I've mentioned this before in other videos, but before I got into the knife enthusiast world, you know, I've always been a knife person. As a kid, as a teenager, I was always interested in knives. I just didn't know what made a good knife, I guess. But I was always obsessed with traditional trapper knives. In fact, this case trapper knife was one of my most prized possessions for a long time because it was the most high quality knife I owned, and I just loved it. And I just like the trapper look. I've always liked clip point blades, which, boom, clip point blade. And I've always liked the look of spade blades. And so having a two-bladed trapper, I don't know, I've just always liked that pattern. And I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of people love the trapper pattern. So yeah, there we go. Next thing, I like that these have double match strike pulls on the blades, both blades. That's really cool. I know some people may or may not like that. I definitely like it. It gives you options about where to grab, and it looks cool. I like the match strike look. I mean, I prefer the match strike pulls to nail nicks, and definitely two of them is nice. Next thing I like, a small detail that I think is really, really good. On the spade blade, the pulls are on the right-hand side, and on the clip point blade, the pulls are on the left-hand side. This is good because it means, as you can see here, match strike accessible on that side and that side. I like that, as opposed to something like this trapper again, where you just have the nail nicks and they're both on the same side. It can make getting the knife out a little bit more difficult. Here it's a lot easier, and oops, bump the camera. And that brings me to my next point. I feel like this is a very easy traditional to use. Some of them can have a little bit of a tough pull on them, you know. But with this knife, in fact, I use the spade blade a lot in most of my just everyday cutting. Pull it out of my pocket. It was easy to open up. One thing I like about the trapper is this aggressive clip point gives you a lot of room to grab onto the spade blade and pull it out. You have good traction on that match strike pull. So yeah, it's nice. And plus, on the times where I wanted to use a clip point blade, which there were some specific instances where I wanted the clip point, which we'll get into, it was easy for me to grab, whoops, I say as I struggle. It was fairly easy for me to deploy it, so that's nice. Next thing, the walk and talk is actually really good. As you can see, we have good defined half stops, which I think is always a good thing. They're nice and snappy. The pull is pretty much what I want. It's not too heavy, but it's also not super light. And so that's really nice. When they're locked out, I mean, it does take a little bit of force to get them to close. That's great. Good safety measure on a non-locking knife. And it just feels really good. I can compare that to, again, here's this case trapper that has no half stop. And a much lighter pull and a much softer snap. I honestly do prefer the walk and talk on this one. And it's definitely much better than a cheapo like this old timer here that just basically pretty mushy and then takes like no effort to close it. But yeah, good action, good walk and talk. I like that. Next thing, the ergos are nice. This knife does feel the hand pretty well. This little area here allows you to get up, and that gives you a little bit of added safety with a non-locking blade. So I like that. And I mean, let's be honest, you're not going to be doing anything super intense with a knife like this. So that's good. Feels perfectly fine in the hand, no matter which blade you have out, honestly. It's not like the Rough Ryder Reserve Rhino Toe, where I actually find that this secondary blade here is pretty uncomfortable. And also this knife has a much stronger pull. But yeah, it's very nice. I like it quite a bit. Next thing, this is going to be really nice and legal. And I do mean nice and legal. So it's going to be legal a lot of places because it doesn't lock. Really, really nice. And it's going to be nice because it's a traditional knife. It looks like something that everyone's grandpa would carry. And so people are less likely to be intimidated by it. So that's good. That's really, really good. Definitely appreciate that. Next thing, the packaging is really, really great. Let me grab that real quick. So here's the box it comes in. Oh, you have a little... So I'm putting this in right. Nope, I'm not putting it in wrong. And you have like a little display box. If I can do this under a camera. There we go. Knife fits in there just like that. get it out of that little felt thing like that. Magnetically sealing box. Yeah, it looks really cool. Rough Ryder copper. It's got like this fiery look. I like that. That's pretty cool. Especially for the price of this knife, which we're going to talk about now. Usually I don't talk about the price of a knife until I get to my conclusions, but right now I'm going to talk about the price, because I got this knife for $16, I believe. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. This is a gorgeous knife for $16. Plus the nice packaging. Look, the fit and finish on this knife is excellent. There's a few issues, like right back here. A little bit of gapping there. But that's really the biggest flaw. I guess there's a little bit of gapping there, but hardly any at all. The blades are a little bit off center, but I don't really care about that so much on a traditional knife. Look, for $16, this is fantastic as a collector's piece and as an EDC tool. So let's talk about this guy in use. Yeah, traditional knives are nice and slicey. Gosh dang, my thumbnail's getting worn out. Traditional knives are nice and slicey. And especially right now where I'm not out in the woods, I'm not out cowboying around, this handles all of my EDC uses. And heck, I know guys who, a bunch of cowboys who carry stuff like this and they use it for everything. In fact, I have a great uncle Steve, when we're doing when we're branding calves, he uses his folding knife. I believe it's an old-timer Stockman. But traditional folding knife, he uses it to notch the ears on calves. Absolutely, completely fine working tools. Good and slicey. The 440 steel is not anything impressive, but I mean, it's so easy to take care of. Something that I carry around with me to work and stuff, not so much now that right now is a school year, I'm at college, but work sharp. Something like this, just bang this on the strop a few times after you cut something, and it'll keep that edge working for a long, long time. So yeah, absolutely fine with that. No problems. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about... actually, one thing I want to mention that's not really a good thing or a bad thing. To carry this knife, you can just drop it in your pocket. It's a pretty heavy little knife because of the copper, but I don't mind that. I've been carrying it in this pocket slip that has a clip. This is actually from Tuya. Worked pretty well for me, but yeah. Anyways, that's how I was carrying it. Now let's go and move into the bad. All right, so on the negative side of things, I already pointed out the fit and finish issues, but they're so minor, and at this price, I really don't see them as being a huge issue. Now, you might be saying, oh, well, you're being easy on it because it's so cheap. Well, yeah, I am, because if you're spending less than $20 on a knife, you can't expect to spend less than $20 and get a PM2 or something. So yeah, there is that. The biggest really negative of this knife is that it's a slip joint. And that introduces several different issues. For one, it's not locking. You guys know me. I am definitely tend to be a harder use type of guy. So I do appreciate a locking knife, especially a strong lock, But at the same time, I mean, I'll talk about this again. So right now, I'm at school. I'm a geology student working on a degree. And so when I'm in the city, having kind of a, work in a grocery store, and I really don't need a hard use knife. Around my apartment, I don't really need a hard use knife. Just around town, I don't really need a hard use knife. And so I didn't feel like I was lacking. And even during the winter and summer when I'm home and I'm working in the woods and I'm out on the ranch and stuff, I'll be honest, there are a lot of guys who hold the opinion of this is the only type of pocket knife you need. If you need something more than this, you grab a fixed blade, which is definitely a viewpoint that I respect. But I mean, even that being said, I've seen guys do crazy stuff with slip joints. I knew a guy who, he was actually a knife enthusiast. He collected a bunch of different knives. All the way up to Sabinzas and stuff. And he was kind of the person that first introduced me into the knife enthusiast hobby. But his favorite EDC knife was a Case Peanut. And he used that thing to skin an elk on one occasion. And I think he had, probably 25 peanuts, because he would use them so much and just sharpen the blades away to nothing, and then put that one back in the drawer and grab his next one. So, I mean, and you think about it, these are tried and true designs. I guess the long short of what I'm trying to say is slip joints feel outdated nowadays, where we have fancier stuff such as, crazy locks that are super strong, and we can do fidgety stuff with them. But I mean, it's still a functional knife, and as long as you're careful, you'll be fine. So yeah, the next thing about a traditional knife like this is just ease of access. I mean, you're definitely not going to be able to flick it around or close it one-handed. For me, like I said, using the spade blade was what I did most because it was the easiest to get to. The clip point blade takes a lot more concentration to get to, and then of course, closing it's basically two-handed unless you want to do it against your leg, which I wouldn't recommend. When I was younger, I actually ended up stabbing myself in the thigh pretty bad doing that with a slip joint. But yeah, definitely a slow, more methodical, tongue-tied type of user experience for sure. But yeah, I think that's about, those are all the negatives I have. Let's go on to my final conclusions. My final conclusions are, this is fantastic. I love this. Recently, I was just bit by the bug to get back into traditionals, and I want to start with Rough Ryder. I've been hearing a lot about, oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. Jeez. I've been hearing a lot about Rough Ryder. I was binging videos about Rough Ryder by people like Big Red EDC, and I just want to get into traditionals. And so I went and bought some Rough Ryders. This was one of the first ones I bought, under $20, and I was absolutely blown away by how much I love this knife. And I really do love this knife. And I have been getting into traditionals pretty hard and comparing a bunch of different traditionals, and I've even gotten into the Rough Ryder Reserve line, and I've been really enjoying traditionals recently. As I was carrying this, it just felt kind of good to have a simplistic tool with me. For most of my cutting, like I said, I'd grab out the spade blade, and it did everything pretty well. But there were some things, such as blister packs, where I wanted the more acute tip of the clip point. I poked up some new holes in my belt, which, yes, I know you should use an awl, but whatever. And I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed carrying this knife. Can I recommend it? Yes, 100%. As both as both a collector's item and a user item, it's great. You have knives like, I won't bring out two other traditional trapper knives. So this one's by Mossy Oak and this one's by Old Timer, obviously. This Mossy Oak one, well, I think these both cost about $10. Gosh, why can I not speak today? And for $6 more, you get a huge improvement. I mean, this knife in particular is just kind of crap. Like, there is absolutely... There's no half stop or anything. It's... The walk and talk is very mushy. You do have a nice little choila grab there, but... Yeah, this one you can close one-handed. The old timer is a little bit better. Definitely an improvement over the mossy oak. Has a much more snappy open. You can hear that. But still, not as good as the Rough Ryder. So, to buy or not to buy? If you're not into traditionals, then no, there's no reason to buy this. You'll be perfectly happy with anything else. If you aren't into traditionals, you probably don't need me to tell you that Rough Riders are pretty good value. Go ahead and get one. In fact, if you're already into Rough Riders, you probably already have this. If you are curious about slip joints, you don't know if you're into them or not, pick one of these up and see if you like slip joints, traditional slip joints. There's a bunch of different, geez, you can choose all kinds of different patterns. And that's something that I want to get into, is trying out as many different traditional knife patterns as I can. But yeah, if you're just kind of curious, you just want to experiment a little bit, definitely pick it up. It won't bust the bank by any means. And yeah, just really, really good. Very impressed with this knife. So yeah, that's going to conclude today's review. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.